Hey YouTube, right here. Today I actually want to go ahead and talk about comedy. Like what kind of comedy is okay? Are there lines that should be drawn? So on and so forth. Because that's a question that I've struggled with in the past, and I see a lot of people struggling with it right now. And it's really hard when it comes to comedy to not be hypocritical. Um, I mean, as far as it comes to where you're all like, that's crossing a line. Now, for me, like, a lot of people will think that if someone tells a rape joke, that I'll just flip the fuck out. Because people know that I absolutely despise rape. It doesn't matter who or what the victim is, rape is a fucking horrible thing. But I've laughed at the, prison rape jokes. I've laughed at, the dumb bimbo jokes. I've laughed at all of that sort of shit. There is a place in it. I mean, if for nothing else than to call attention to a problem. But the thing is you've got a difference between tasteful jokes, jokes that are actually meant to be funny and that sort of thing, and then you've got your shock value jokes, like the jokes that are meant to get a laugh out of you, but only because you don't know what else to do. And you can tell the difference in the laughter. The whole shock value jokes are more of a painful chuckle, whereas, the actual jokes are, those are the ones that just make you die fucking laughing or get that actual uncontrolled laughter going. But and the thing is it's not just with rape jokes. I'm just focusing on that right now just because that's something that I can personally latch onto. Everyone has those certain things where they're all like, you know what, for the most part, unless it's a damn good joke, you shouldn't be joking about it. Like, some people think that you shouldn't joke about terrorism. Why the fuck not? Now, don't get me wrong. I don't, perfect example, Jeff Dunham. Perfect example of terrorist jokes done right. All right? In my opinion. And that's the thing about comedy. It's going to vary from person to person. What one person finds funny, another person might find abhorrent. It's not there. I don't think there's any real type of comedy that's going to resonate with every single person. There's always going to be some small group that's going to get butthurt over it. Usually it's the ones who the joke is about. But like me, I'm not very good at telling jokes. I don't even try anymore. Unless it's one of those jokes where it's all like, okay, I'm drunk and it just kind of falls out of me. Those jokes tend to go over well, but that's because people aren't sitting there and taking me serious. Whenever I'm sober, people tend to take me fairly fucking serious. And okay, I understand it, because the thing is, for the most part, I'm a pretty serious person. I use sarcasm just like anyone else, but sarcasm is not in and of itself a joke. But when it comes to comedians, people who make a living off of telling jokes, should they be forced to censor themselves? No. Whatever joke they want to tell, let them tell it. If there's an audience for it, then they'll make money. If there isn't an audience, if it drives people away, then they stop making money and the problem self-corrects. Pretty simple solution, right? Oh, wait. That's relying on the open market, and we can't have that, right? Because the open market might not do what we want them to do. See, that's the problem. Trying to control jokes, trying to control humor is one of those things that for a long time, conservatives were fighting, and now you've got liberals fighting it. But the thing is here's the difference. When conservatives were trying to fight it, they were trying to fight against it in its entirety. Whereas liberals are trying to say, well, only liberal comedians should be allowed to say whatever the hell they want. They should be excused for faux pas. But conservative ones, oh no, you gotta be straight edge. You gotta stick to knock jokes. And even then, you better watch yourself. Yeah. Alright? And that's just my observation from what I've been seeing as far as the nature of the complaints. I went ahead and I looked back when conservatives were going after jokes, and it was just one of those things of, liberals were sitting there and making fun of the conservatives for sitting there and getting their feelings hurt and trying to censor people because of their feelings. And now they're sitting there and unironically trying to say that their feelings being hurt should lead to censorship. And yeah, it's a problem. And the thing is comedy, whether you like it or not, is actually protected under the First Amendment. Now, as long as a person isn't honestly calling for violence, then I don't see a problem with it. They want to tell a Brokeback Mountain joke? Let them. Go for it. They want to go ahead and tell a joke about Muslims. Go for it. They want to tell a joke about ISIS. Go for it. They want to go ahead and tell a joke about Christians. Go for it. There's lots of material there. They want to tell jokes about Jews. They want to make a Holocaust joke. They want to make a Nazi joke. Fucking let them. I mean, in all honesty, I don't even agree with a lot of the jokes out there. A lot of the jokes just fall flat with me. In all honesty, the only two comedians where I'm consistently laughing through their bits is Jeff Dunham and Gabriel Iglesias. And that's about it. I mean, of course, the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, I was just dying laughing at that, but that's because, well, where I grew up, while I was growing up, this area was kind of, but, so it kind of hits a little bit closer to home, especially with Larry the Cable Guy, but, and you see, just think about it, actually gets me to fucking smile, and that's what comedy should do. And the thing is if you can't laugh at yourself, what the fuck are you doing with your life? I mean, in all honesty. People sitting there and cracking jokes about me, people expect me to get all butthurt about it and that sort of thing, and I'll laugh right along with them. What the fuck ever? Even if it's a mean-spirited joke. I don't care. If it's funny, it's fucking funny. If it's true, it's fucking true. And that'll make me laugh even fucking harder. But it's just one of those situations of, once you sit there and try to say, well, what jokes should not be allowed? Well, now you're crossing into some pretty dangerous territory. Because then, to decide that, you have to decide who gets the moral authority to do it, to decide these things. Well, people have never been able to put aside their own personal biases, their own personal feelings. So you're going to have an unequal representation somewhere in there. You're going to have one group being particularly targeted. You're going to have one subset of comedians that's going to be wiped off the face of the fucking planet because all of their material is now illegal. And I think it's funny that the people that bitch about, sexism and racism and that sort of thing, well, when you look at the people who are there who are from the comedy field, how did they build their reputation? Oh, yeah, it was telling racist jokes, sexist jokes, Holocaust jokes, jokes about past presidents, so on and so forth. And now they're sitting there and saying that other comedians shouldn't be allowed to do that. That's kind of like with the whole WikiLeaks thing when CNN tried to sit there and say, oh, it's illegal for you to look at these, but it's not for us. No. Just stop. Either all comedy is good to go, or no comedy is good to go. It's one or the other. You do not have a spectrum here. This is a switch. It's on or off. Which one is it? Now, of course, there's some things where it's all like, yeah, some jokes are in really bad taste. Like, if there's a major tragedy, like when 9/11 happened, if someone told a joke about 9/11, it's all like, oh God, no, don't do that. Those emotions are still fresh. You maybe not do that right now. Wait a few years. But now we've got 9/11 jokes up the ass. All right. That's fine, because a lot of the emotion has fucking tapered off. Hell, remember, what's his name? He was big in sports, he ended up killing his wife. Allegedly killing his wife, but he was found innocent. Whatever his fucking name was. Yeah, I'm horrible with fucking names. It's all like, you'll sit there and have people making jokes about, here's one that I remember, the whole Jonestown incident. You see jokes and skits about that all the fucking time. I mean, hell, there's a saying that's actually happened and was really popularized because of that. Where people are saying, hey, you've been drinking the Kool-Aid for too long. That is a reference to Jonestown. A lot of people don't realize that. They don't remember that shit. Now, the thing is back in the day, that was a really big fucking insult because the emotions were running so high. Now, it's just a common everyday saying, It's telling you that you have gone fucking brain dead, that you have been buying into something that is so monumentally stupid that it's beyond reason at this point. Should that be illegalized? I mean, hell, I forget how many people ended up dying there. And the thing is if you remember correctly, only some of the people actually drank the Kool-Aid. The ones that refused to drink the Kool-Aid, including kids, were ran down and gunned down. And when the authorities ended up getting there, the thing is the coward that was in charge didn't even drink the Kool-Aid himself. He let himself go out by way of suicide by cop, basically. I can go into a whole fucking rant on Jonestown and that worthless motherfucker and how he should have been fucking aborted. And the world would have been a much better place without him. But I'm not going to go down that road right now. We're talking comedy. So, let's go ahead and talk about Lena Dunham. Well, her shit's falling flat. Because the thing is she alienated her old audience by pulling her political bullshit. And so now she's left with the hypersensitive, hyper fucking, the perpetually offended crowd that she aligned herself with because she thought that was the next big thing. She took a gamble and she lost. So her latest special, oh, well, it's getting bad fucking reviews. And she's sitting there and trying to say, oh, it's trolls. Well, the thing is if all that you have watching are trolls, then it wasn't popular anyway. Just saying, you know? And I haven't heard anyone bring up that little tidbit. If the vast majority of people that are watching your video, because the thing is, you know, people try to sit there and say, oh, well, you know, it's only the people that are taking the time to, you know, thumbs up it or thumbs down it or whatever. Well, here's the thing. This thing was so monumentally disliked that people actually went ahead and started taking a look into it and looking at the statistics, you know, like what percentage of people responding with the thumbs downs, you know, what was their percentage of people that watched? And the thing is it was a mind-blowing amount. There was a lot of interaction with that. Yeah, all negative, you know, much like Feminist Frequencies videos. But the thing is with this one, the shit wasn't hidden. And the damage was done. And so you had that big fucking fiasco. And she's still making a fucking big deal out of it. But the thing is the people that would have been laughing at her stupid jokes, she alienated during the presidential run. And she specifically went vindictive. I mean, she went out of her way to piss these people off. I still remember when she had 200 people just stand up and walk out of one of her shows. Holy shit. It's all like, you getting that many people to just all stand up at one time and walk the fuck out, and then she starts talking smack. Lack of self-awareness right the fuck there. Now remember, she's in this for a fucking career. She's in this to make money. Well, the thing is you kind of have to have an audience if you want to make fucking money. And she's sitting there trying to, you know, get all these different, she's trying to, branch off into movies and so on and so forth. The thing is I haven't seen her in a single movie that I liked her in. Her acting talent is hackneyed at best. I mean, she doesn't play a believable character. It's very, 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 very obvious that she is a comedian playing a role. And I've never been much of one for her type of comedy. Have I ever argued against her type of comedy? No. No, I haven't. Like I said, there's very little that I will argue against as far as comedy. But the thing is she's now seen that tide turn, and she doesn't like it, because the thing is she alienated the group that could have pulled her through something like this. Because the group that she decided to side with, well, they've kind of got a history of not putting their money where their mouth is. They'll sit there and, tell you, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. And then you go ahead and do it, and they're like, oh, good job, good job. And yet they still don't go for your product, because now your product's more expensive, and they want the better deal. Unless it's something really, really cheap, like coffee or something like that, like with the bullshit Starbucks started fucking doing. Me, I'm not a Starbucks fan. Haven't been a Starbucks fan ever since Dutch Brothers came up here. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I went, the first time I had Dutch Brothers, I was all like, I have never had coffee until now. So, yeah, I wasn't affected by the whole Starbucks thing, and every time I saw people tweeting about the whole Starbucks bullshit, I would just sit there and go, and this is the reason why Dutch Brothers exists. And they're just about as common as Starbucks, so... And they're cheaper, and you get much better deals. Not only do they charge you less, but they also give you more for charging you less. I don't see where this is a problem. And a lot of people are all like, oh, well, look at their menu, it's so small. It's all like, that's just their most popular items or a general list of the different types of drinks that they have. There are subcategories in there, and these people are more than willing to tell you about them. Because unlike Starbucks, it's so hard for me to not call them Star Schmucks because of Ill Will Press. But, not to mention it's a much more fitting name. But, unlike at Starbucks, the baristas at Dutch Brothers tend to actually have a personality. You don't sit there and get the idea of them sitting, you don't get that feeling that you're talking to a facsimile of a person. You're not talking to, something that's fake. You're not talking to a pod person. You're not afraid that if you walk out and back and take a look back there, you're going to find the pod for the pod person with the dead, desiccated corpse shoved into it of the real person. So, I mean, you tend to get better customer service. They tend to be much more expedient. They have absolutely awesome music playing there. The only thing that they don't have is fucking Wi-Fi. But that's because Dutch Brothers is more for the person on the go, whereas Starbucks is more for the person who wants to sit there and be trendy, act like they're doing something important, that they're really deep or whatever. And so, they'll sit there, they'll pay, way too much money for a small cup of coffee, and I don't give a fuck what Starbucks says. I do not give a fuck what Starbucks says. I will not fucking use the terminology that they want. I've always fought against that. They're all like, all right, well, what size? Small. Oh, you mean... No, I mean small, motherfucker. That's always how it's been. I've always refused to do that shit, so... And that was even when I was really fucking young, and all my friends were all like, oh, just, say what... I'm all like, no, fuck that. No. I want a fucking small, or I want a fucking large. I'm all like, fuck this grande bullshit. Seriously. It's pretentious bullshit. I think, Jim Mathis definitely got that right. I think that's his name. The guy that does Ill Will Press. But honestly, I think he nailed that straight the fuck on. It's just them changing the fucking name so you don't feel like such a fucking moron for parting with so much money for something that you could easily walk down the street to a mom and pop shop and get for a fraction of the fucking cost. So, and Dutch Brothers proves that. I mean, hell, I sit there, they're all like, oh, we have a 32-ounce drink now. Dutch Brothers has had a 32-ounce drink since forever. Since forever. They had it when they first moved up here anyway. But I ended up going ahead and I'm all like, I price checked. Starbucks is about 2 times as expensive when it comes to the 32-ounce drink. So like you go to fucking Dutch Brothers. Oh, a 32-ounce drink? All right, that'll be $7.50. You go to Starbucks and they're all like, all right, we need you to sign this contract, sign up for this fucking credit card. You're going to max out the credit card and then you're going to have an overflow payment of this much. But we do take human babies as payment. You know, like, I don't get where people do that. And then also, personally, I think Dutch Brothers tastes better. Like, you can sit there and you can hand me Starbucks and it's all like, thanks. You know, I'm not going to turn it down if it's fucking free. You know, if someone went out of their way to fucking buy it for me, alright, fine, whatever. But if someone goes out and buys me a Dutch Brothers, which is cheaper on them, you know, it's less of a burden on them, I will be infinitely more grateful. But anywho, sorry, I got off onto coffee. And no, I haven't had any tonight. Although I should. I should definitely run down and I should buy myself a fucking Dutch Brothers. In fact, I'm going to do that after this video. But, yeah, when it comes to comedy, it's not like with coffee. The thing is once you turn people off of your shit, they tend to not come back. You know? They don't forget about it sometime and then all of a sudden, oh, they need their fix. No. And then also at the same time, it's kind of hard to pirate coffee, right? So people might like some of the comedy that you do, but they might not like your politics, and that's where piracy comes in. And I think that's another reason why we are seeing such a massive crackdown on piracy. Much more so than we have with conservative leaders. But now that we've got liberal leaders, all of a sudden piracy is one of the major threats that the world faces. As soon as all of a sudden pirating started happening because of political reasons, because people still want the product but they don't want to support the person. Well, that's the problem now, isn't it? Maybe, just maybe, don't politicize every last fucking thing. I swear to God, I'm waiting for, some toilet paper company to fucking go political. I'm waiting for it. Like, I'm waiting for some company that has some liberal head that fucking, that wants to, show how, stick it to that evil America and then sit there and print a fucking thing of toilet paper where it looks like the fucking Constitution. I'm waiting for it. Would it be illegal? No, of course not. Would people buy it? Yeah. Yeah, they would. But a very few people, because that would take specialized equipment, making it more expensive. But then you're going to have people that will stop buying that brand, period, because they no longer want to support that person. Again, they are putting out a physical product, kind of hard to pirate it. However, with a digital format, like let's say a video game or a movie or a TV special, something like that, very easily piratable. And they've got different DRMs in place and that sort of thing, but those things tend to get cracked after the first fucking day or two. I had to wait a full fucking day to go ahead and get a hold of this and still fucking flip the bird to whoever made it. It's like, haha, I'm using your product and you got nothing from me. And I'm not one of those people that sits there and says, oh, you should pirate everything. No. If you like the company, if you like what they do, if they're not politicizing shit, or even if you agree with their politics, don't pirate their shit if you think that they are putting out a quality product at a good deal. Don't fucking do that. I mean, we're seeing that with indie developers and so on and so forth. People are pirating their shit. What the fuck? Now me, I'm not exactly the richest person out there. I can't afford a whole lot of video games, but I don't pirate video games. The closest you could get to nailing me for piracy is me downloading emulators for old games that aren't being sold anymore. Most of them I have either owned in the past or I still currently own. I just have no way of playing them because I don't have a console to play them. Or at least not a functional console. So, but the thing is that's a completely different thing than actual privacy. I mean, actual piracy, sorry. Actual piracy involves you going after a product that's new, something that's still making the person money. Like Ghostmaster, it's an old game. Don't know if y'all have ever played it. If not, I highly recommend that you look into it and download a emulator and a ROM for it. It was an old computer game, and it was a pretty good game. Didn't make any huge waves, but it was a decent game. Very fun. I ended up buying it when I was younger, wasn't all that expensive. I bought it off of a bargain rack. But the thing is that was money well spent. Me going ahead and downloading a ROM of it now, well, they're not selling the game anymore. You can't pay to download it somewhere. Not that I've seen anyway. Maybe on Good Old Games or something like that. But, I mean, at that point, it's still a fucking hassle. Just as much of a hassle as going on and downloading the ROM. And in fact, with the ROM, I get extra tools and shit. So, it's kind of a benefit there. But going ahead and downloading a ROM of that is very different than going ahead and pirating something like, I don't know, Grand Theft, the latest Grand Theft Auto or the latest Call of Duty or something like that. That's a very, very different thing. Although, I can't really blame you if you pirate, Call of Duty. 'Cause, yeah. Y'all know my view on Activision. But, in all honesty, when it comes to having putting out a digital media, honestly, the best way I can think of is don't let someone politicize it. Don't politicize it yourself at the very least. Don't make political comments. Don't do anything. There's no need there. Unless this game was made as a political satire or a political commentary or something like that. If you went out of your way to do that, if that was the purpose of the game, then fine. Go ahead and mention it. But don't bang on about it for forever and a day. Don't sit there and insult people who dislike the game. Or movie or whatever. Hello, Ghostbusters reboot. You know, just don't go out and do that shit. Pretty simple, right? But when it comes to comedy, just remember, you're gonna piss some people off. That's fine. Obviously, they are not a major part of your audience. Just like with me on this channel. I don't hold myself back on this channel. I have to hold myself back in every other aspect of my life. Every other moment of my life, I have to hold myself back because people tend to be exceedingly stupid. And I'll sit there and I'll say something. I'll just sit there and state a fact, and someone will get up in my face, physically get up in my face. Well, I'm not the type of person to just sit there and take it. I will get right back up in their face. And as soon as they lay a hand on me, now it's go time. They started the physical conflict. I'm sure as fuck going to end it. That's how I am as a person. That's how I was raised. It's like, you don't start a fight, but if someone else starts a fight, you end it. You end it as quickly as possible. I was also raised with the mentality of, if you hold yourself back, you know, if you try to take it easy on someone, if you're afraid of hurting someone, you are going to end up hurting yourself. And the thing is I think that comedy, it should be the same fucking way. Don't hold back on it. Do your comedy skit. Say what you're gonna fucking say. Doesn't matter if you're white, if you're black, if you're Chinese, if you're Muslim. It doesn't fucking matter. And no, I'm not saying that Muslim is a race, but everyone considers it a fucking race at this point, so what the fuck ever. But, you know, it doesn't matter your ideology. It doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter your sexual orientation. It doesn't matter what you got or what you don't got between your legs. Doesn't fucking matter. If you're going to do comedy, do your comedy. You're going to either find a audience or you're not. If you do political comedy, expect some backlash from one side or the other, or hell, even both of them at the same fucking time for different reasons. But should political comedy be banned? No. And if someone ever says social comedy should be banned, that's the type of person that needs to take a long walk off of a short pier with some very heavy boots. But my opinion is all comedy should be allowed, and let the free market decide. Don't bitch and complain about who's successful and who's not. Don't bitch about how, oh, well, there's a whole bunch of this kind of joke going around. Well, that means it's popular. Of course, they're going to go with what's popular. It's going to make them the most money. It's going to give them a much wider audience. There's still going to be those comics that are just going to sit there and flip the middle bird to the majority and go, no, fuck that. I'm going to go after this niche group. These are my people. You know, you're going to have your nerdy comics. You're going to have your fat ass comics. You're going to have your hyper skinny, hyper masculine, hyper feminine, feminist. You know, you're going to have all these different types of comedians. Just because one exists, it doesn't hinder any of the others. So, what do you guys think? I mean, am I off base here? Do you think that there's certain jokes that shouldn't be allowed to be said? If so, go ahead. Let me know, you know, what kinds of jokes. You don't have to tell one, obviously, but you know, you can go ahead, just say, oh, well, jokes involving this, and here's my reasoning why I think that they shouldn't be allowed. By all means, go ahead. I'm curious to know what you all think. All right, have yourselves a great night. I'll talk to you later.